How to shift your dog to a new food brand. Try the 7-day switch. Canines are predictable animals, and the possibility of changing something is fundamental to them. For example, their standard eating regimen can send you in a rushed mode. You surely don't have any desire to gamble with the dog's well-being while you are simply attempting to help the canine with another eating routine. Devouring a similar eating regimen or canine food equation over a significant stretch can bring about the dog fostering a food sensitivity from it. General picture: canine food. In the event of food review and with age as well, changing from grown-up to senior canine little dog food, not an enormous variety pup food. In the event that your veterinarian has suggested a restorative canine nourishment for a particular medical issue, kindly make certain to examine changing his canine food exhaustively. There could be a few extraordinary contemplations and ideas to guarantee a good outcome. Moving your canine to another food brand? Attempt the 7-day challenge. Is your canine a particular eater? Does the prospect of evolving his/her eating routine send you feeling wild? It makes perfect sense to us. You unquestionably don't have any desire to take a chance with your dog's well-being while you are simply attempting to help your furball with a superior eating regimen. Consuming a similar eating regimen over a long range can exhaust your little guy a great deal. Assuming the worst, he or she winds up fostering a food sensitivity from it. While your canine is maturing, it is dependably a superior plan to switch into a superior eating routine. At the point when you are exchanging your canine's eating routine, ensure the progress is pretty much as smooth as conceivable without causing looseness of the bowels or heaving. Ensure that you know about your little guy's food responsiveness prior to visiting the closest canine food shop. At the point when you are purchasing another food, kindly purchase a little parcel first. Evaluate various flavors, various well springs of protein. In any case, ensure you are adhering to comparable rates and proportions of protein, fat and fiber. Assuming you are uncertain about how to work out some kind of harmony between every one of them, contact the best vet around. Acquaint your dog continuously with its new food. Here's a manual for you. Day 1. Offer a tiny part of the new food and keep giving the old food, which ought to be 70% of the complete eating regimen. Day 2. Increment the part of new food by 5% and decrease the old food by 5%. Day 3. Day 2 should contain 60% of old food and 40% of new food you purchase subsequent to looking the best canine food store close to me. Day 4. Feed equivalent amounts of old and new canine nourishment for the afternoon. Day 5. Breaking point the old foods rate at 40% and increment the new food up to 60%. Day 6. Keep 75% of new one and cut off the old food just to 25%. Day 7. Your canine is tolerating the new food well, isn't really? Likewise, assuming that there are no belly issues, make the last day about the new food. You can suspend the old food totally from this day on. Imagine a scenario in which your canine is a finicky one. Her own language: to the new food you just purchased from the best canine food shop in Kolkata? Get it and eat nothing, not even little treats, around 6 hours. It sounds brutal, yet it will permit your pet to feel a piece hungry. Offer the new food once more and odds are high that your four-legged child will eat it this time. Incessant eating routine changes are not suggested. Try not to get enticed to change your pet to another food brand, since there are a few occasional limits on a few new food sources. Adhere to the food brand your canine recently begun adoring. Food becomes vital. The main arrangement before you is to move the pet to another eating routine as consistently as conceivable without causing it further well-being issues. Image HelloMagazine.com. While exchanging canine food, go for the gold without having your canine face any stomach-related ailments like retching, anorexia or the runs. In the event of a food review, search for a comparable canine food recipe, get a comparative detailing and go through the rundown of fixings. A grain-free or a gluten-less eating routine is best for canines. Tips and methods for switching dog foods. Pups become grown-ups at a year old enough and ought to progress to a grown-up canine food to guarantee they are getting legitimate supplement levels for grown-up canines. Huge variety pups and little variety pups ought to change to an enormous variety or little variety grown-up canine food to guarantee that their extraordinary necessities are met. For little and medium-sized canines who are more seasoned, about the age of 7, they ought to progress to an experienced grown-up or senior canine food that guarantees that they are getting the suitable degree of supplements for that more established life stage. For huge variety canines that are close to 5 years old, Their food ought to change to an experienced grown-up or senior enormous variety canine food so their unique supplement necessities are met. Pregnant or nursing canines need energy-thick food varieties with expanded calcium content, so make certain to progress them during this extraordinary chance to a pup food. Be that as it may, during pregnancy or nursing, huge variety canines ought to be changed to a standard. Need to switch your pet's canine food or feline food? There are a few motivations behind why you might need to change to another food brand or recipe. You're bringing another pet home and need to put them on an alternate recipe. Your pet has a food sensitivity or responsiveness. Your pet is entering another life stage. Your pet necessities to acquire or get more fit. Your veterinarian has suggested a particular eating regimen for your pet. You need to change your pet to a useful or negligibly handled diet. Anything the explanation is for change, you ought to constantly talk with a veterinarian prior to progressing your pet to another eating routine. Canines and felines can encounter a steamed stomach on the off chance that you don't change them to another food bit by bit. Progressing excessively fast can prompt the runs, spewing, or even loss of hunger. While progressing to another pet food, do so sluggishly over a time of around 7 to 10 days, blending a rising measure of new food with old food every day. Begin with 75% old food blended in with 25% new nourishment for roughly 3 days. Then blend half old in with half new for roughly 3 days. Then 100% new. A few pets might be simpler to progress than others, and felines will quite often be more fussy than canines. Intently screen your pet during the progress to guarantee they are getting the nourishment they need. Assuming that you notice your pet declining to eat the new food, or on the other hand if your pet begins heaving or has looseness of the bowels or stoppage, you ought to dial back the rate you are exchanging the food. In the event that issues persist, talk with your veterinarian. While we referenced a couple of reasons you might have to change your canine or feline's food, with the gamble of pet aversion to new food, how could you need to change to another food by any means? Here is some extra information to make sense of the logical situations, and what makes exchanging food varieties so significant at these points. Explanations behind changing canine food varieties. Exchanging canine food is okay. Eventually, it could be essential, as a matter of fact. The following are a couple of reasons you might have to change around your canine's food. Progress in years. Around their most memorable birthday, or later for bigger varieties, pups need to change to a grown-up canine food. Around age 7, most canines are viewed as senior and may profit from changing to a senior equation. Weight. In the event that your canine isn't his ideal body condition, your veterinarian might suggest a weight the executive's recipe. Not all weight changes should be tended to through an adjustment of the actual food. It might simply require taking care of pretty much of the ongoing food. Your veterinarian can assist you with figuring out what's best for your canine. Action levels. Canines who partake in shows, wearing or readiness occasions or who are requesting position might require a recipe to help those exercises. These kinds of canine food sources frequently have more elevated levels of protein and calories. As canines resign from these exercises, they might have to change to a lower calorie food to stay away from superfluous weight gain. Well-being. A few food sources have been figured out to assist veterinarians with healthfully dealing with specific medical issue. For instance, your veterinarian might endorse a restorative equation to support the extraordinary nourishing requirements of canines with GI conditions. How to switch to a new food brand. Changing to another food can be a cycle stunning to your canine's framework, and for some purposes, diarrhea might result. The simplest method for staying away from this is to ensure you have an arrangement. This is the way to change, starting with one brand and on to the next while putting minimal measure of weight on your canine's body. Anticipate a 7-day process that includes blending the new food in with the old. You'll begin just barely of the new food to your canine's current image, and afterward slowly expanding until the aggregate of the bowl is comprised of the new food. This is the way it will look. Days 3 and 4, blend half new food to half old food. Days 5 and 6, blend 75% new food to 25% old food. Day 7 and on, 100% new food. Change total. By leisurely presenting the new food over a time of 7 days, your has the opportunity to conform to his new eating regimen, which will diminish the probability of a negative reaction. Possible food transition side effects. Regardless of whether you eat gradually, exchanging your canine's food might accompany a couple of secondary effects, including diarrhea or overabundance fart. A few bodies are more delicate than others and require additional persistence and time while changing. Assuming you find that your canine starts to have issues during the 7-day progress period, stop and return to the last proportion where their body was alright and not showing indications of trouble. Keep taking care of that proportion for 2 extra days prior to continuing on toward the following period of the progress plan. On the off chance that in the wake of doing this your canine's signs don't clear, you might need to stop the change and attempt an alternate food from an alternate maker. As we examined in a past blog on fussy eating, canines have a narrow-mindedness to explicit optional fixings, and this might be the reason. Jonna Devereaux is a clinical pet nutritionist and canine health master. She is the overseer of nourishment and well-being for Bow Wow Labs and sits on their leading body of counselors. The perspectives communicated above are those of our clinical nutritionist and upheld by science, her schooling and experience. Nonetheless, we perceive there might be various perspectives or suppositions on some viewpoint or even the reason of this article. Our objective at Bow Wow Labs is to give the best, most clear, and most supportive data conceivable to assist with keeping your canine cheerful, solid and safe.